What if the secret to success wasn't just talent or hard work, but unshakable confidence? Welcome to Grasp Confidence, the podcast where visionary thought leaders, speakers, and entrepreneurs unlock the mindset and strategies for lasting success. I'm your host, Tara LaFon Gooch, CEO, two-time best-selling author, and international TEDx speaker, and I can't wait to help you step into the most powerful version of yourself. Let's dive in. Today on Grasp Confidence, I'm joined by Russ Hedge, inspirational speaker, international best-selling author, and what he calls an inspiration specialist. With over 30 years in marketing and sales, Russ is a master connector who helps people choose positivity, purpose, and forward momentum, even when life happens. Get ready for insight, encouragement, and a few smiles along the way. Russ, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Tara. Great to be here today. I'm really excited.
Yes. Well, I met you a few weeks ago now. I was a guest on your podcast as well. And I just loved your energy so much that I thought, why not come on Grasp Confidence podcast and share some of this energy and positivity with my audience? So welcome.
Well, thank you so much. It's a blessing to be here, and I'm honored that you're having me on today. You know, I love people. And I love to inspire and encourage people. And that's my purpose in life, to inspire and encourage you and everybody to live a purpose-driven life of significance. And what I mean by that, I want people to be world changers and difference makers. I want people to get out there and make an impact on their world in a positive way. And obviously, that is why I love to do this, be with you on this show.
I'm the same. I think we're cut from the same cloth, right? I love people as well. I love making a positive difference. And I think each one of us has the power to make a ripple effect, right? For the better or for the worse, right? You can make a negative ripple effect, or you can choose to make a positive ripple effect. And it really is a choice, isn't it, Russ? Because I think a lot of times we think life happens to us and everything is happening to us. But really, it's a lot of choices, too.
Yeah, it really is. And one of the big choices, too, is I love the quote by, I credit it to Ed Milet, but it's either him or Tony Robbins that says, life happens for you, not to you. Mm-hmm. And really, that is a choice because life does happen to you. But if you choose it for the positive and to learn and grow and just, be better through it, then it happens for you. And I think that's so important every day. And obviously my book here behind me, Life Happens, and Then You Choose every day, because it is definitely happening to us. And I've been through a lot, as everybody else has. But there's a lot of that in my book things that I've had to do, just trying to encourage, inspire people through the challenges that I've had, but how I've kept a positive perspective and mindset through it all.
All right. Well, story time. Let's dive in and talk about some of these challenges that you've had, because I think this is where, the rubber meets the road. A lot of people are listening to this right now, and maybe they're in a bad spot. Maybe they're facing a lot of uncertainty in life. Maybe something, catastrophic has even happened to them. And they're, tuning into this podcast today as a source of encouragement to keep going. But they can only keep going and have this as a source of encouragement if they know where you and I have once been, right?
Sure.
That's the power of storytelling. So take us back to a real pivotal moment in your life that made you who you are today.
Wow. Well,
pick one, right?
I can go way back on that one. But, some things that I've really had to work through that I wrote about in my book, the major things in my life. I had a near life-ending car accident at 19. They had to cut me out of the car with jaws of life, fly me life flight to a hospital where a whole trauma team operated on me and took care of me. By the grace of God, I lived through that. And I learned through that The yearning for life and resilience, because I tell you, I really wanted to get back on my feet. And at 19, I was young and able to rebound faster. That happened in July 9th, the summer of 1983. I was back at Oregon State in September of 83, and I had been in intensive care for the first week. I lost 2.5 weeks of my life because I had brain swelling and brain trauma, and I don't remember any of that. It's really kind of the grace of God because I missed all the bad stuff. And so that was the first major thing. Then I went through my parents, who I had the most awesome, amazing childhood and great parents. And my dad and mama both had started having challenges. Dad had lung cancer, mama had Alzheimer's. And so had to deal with that. And then losing both of my parents. And then on top of, well, actually, the month that mama passed away, mama went to heaven. I was diagnosed, or I found the cancer that a month later I was diagnosed with melanoma that started on the bottom of my foot and traveled all the way to my brain. So through all of that and trusting God through all of that, which is really my strength, I learned just daily as life was happening to make good choices and to keep a good perspective, because that's really what it's all about. I love this divine equation that Chip Ingram writes about in his book: circumstances plus perspective equals your experience. So whatever your circumstances are, and then whatever your perspective is, that drives what the experience truly is in your life. And that is so important.
Oh my gosh. Near fatal car accident at 19 years old. Your parents getting diagnosed with diseases resulting in their death, and then you eventually getting diagnosed with cancer. That's like one after another, right? And I think that's how life happens. We get hit with these curveballs and we can't possibly see them coming. But what I love about this is, this is so biblical, right? There's so many, biblical figures when we look at them as well. And you're a man of faith, so I bring it up, that they, face these adversities in their life, and it's these trials, these tests, right? And you can choose to stay in that situation, or you can choose to let that situation refine you into the person that, God has created you to be, that leader, right? And I think that's important because regardless of who you are, these adversities and circumstances are going to happen. But it's about that perspective of looking at that and saying, you know what, this is happening to me or for me, and how can I see myself out of it with God's help? What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I mean, you're taking a look at each thing that happens in your life, and number one, definitely trusting God and moving forward. And you're right. There's a lot of biblical figures that are great life examples for us. Have gone through just crazy things, but all of us here, life is happening. Everybody has stuff, right? Everybody has things going on, and I don't claim to have a market on bad challenges going on in my life, because we all have them, but we also all have the opportunity to choose to keep a good perspective. And one thing that I always remind people, Tara, is that a good perspective does not mean you're happy all the time. I'm the upbeat, happy guy, and people say, "Are you happy all the time?" No, because I could tell you when I was down with when I had cancer treatment that just really knocked me, and I was out. I mean, I was not happy. And I was thinking, God, go ahead and come take me right now, because this is not good. You're high fevers, breaking out with rashes, you're throwing up everywhere, you're completely sick, all these crazy things happening to you. And then surgeries, they had to, when it first started, they had to rebuild my whole foot after they took the cancer out. And so I had to go through a long recovery on that. And those things are grueling, because you can't, I'm an active guy, and you can't get up and move around because you're stuck, because you're healing. So all of these things, you have to look at them and decide, how are you going to deal with that? And, I always stayed active in my mind, and also I would have my laptop and my phone and stuff. I worked from my bed and did things to keep myself active. I did my live streams from my bed. I did, I just kept moving because I decided I wasn't going to be down and out, but then I could get rest and do things, but I could still be active. So it's those choices we're making. That's what makes all the difference.
So, what inspired you to write a book? Because a lot of people, I work with entrepreneurs, right? That's my client base. A lot of people have great intentions. They want to write a book. They say they're writing a book. Year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, the book is not a book yet, right?
Yeah.
So I think it takes a lot of consistency, a lot of determination, a lot of perseverance to write a book because a lot of people say they will write a book and it never comes to fruition, right? We know the stats.
Yeah.
So, what was that inspiration, that catalyst point that made you say, you know what, I'm going to write a book and I'm going to see it through till the end?
Well, it's very interesting because I had a lot of good fortune, and there was a major event that helped me write my first book. So my first book was called Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose. So don't live your life befuddled and out of sorts, but live the life you choose. And when I wrote that, uh, what helped me write that book, it was about 4 or 5 months before COVID. I was meeting with a friend, and he was encouraging me to start my own side business, and that is the business I have today. He encouraged me to start podcasting and write a book, and I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa," all these things. And so, but then guess what? 5 months later, the world shut down and we were all home. And so I decided to dive into my business. My beautiful wife, really encouraged me and said, "You know what? If you really feel like God is moving you this direction," which I did, as far as doing my own business and doing marketing coaching and doing speaking and consulting and writing a book and doing that kind of stuff. She goes, "Now is your time because everything is shut down." So within 5 months, I produced that book, and I was able to meet people online and I had friends that had written books that helped me a little bit. So I really relied on all of that, but I had the time to do it. So that first one probably was easier because there were not nearly the distractions. Now, then cancer comes into the picture. I was going to write my next book, and my good friend and co-host of a couple of my live streams, D. Scott Smith, who was the guy that encouraged me to write it in the first place, I was always saying, when I tell people, don't live your life befuddled, live the life you choose, people say, I can't live the life I choose. Life just keeps happening to me. I can't choose that. And I'd say, you're exactly right. Life happens, but then you choose. And so Scott says, that's your next book. And so I had plans to write that book, but then I had cancer issues. And so, but then I had a bunch of friends writing anthologies. I don't know if you're familiar with those, where all the
Mhm.
authors come together. Right.
Yep.
So because that was easier, meaning that I didn't have to do all the book stuff. I just had to write one chapter. I'm in 4 anthologies and became an international best-selling author with all my friends. And so wrote 4 more books in between. And then I finally, this last year, God really spoke to me. I kicked it into gear. And I always say, God's not done with me yet. And so I was ready to go, and God was pushing me to write this book. And I said, well, does that mean, God, because I'm at stage 4 cancer at this point. And I said, does that mean I'm going to write the book and then you're done with me here on earth? And so I said, but hey, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So I wrote the book, published it. The month after I published it, I got my scans, no sign of disease, cancer completely gone. Praise God. So his plan for me was to keep going. He's still not done with me yet. And so it was quite a process, this whole book writing thing. And it does take a lot of work. Your original question that I kind of skirted around, but it takes a lot of work. And I always say, get with good friends who will not let you fail, who will keep you accountable and make it happen. And that's what I did.
Oh my gosh. All right. There's a lot to unpack there. Stage 4 cancer.
Yeah.
You wrote a book and then you go back and the scans are clear? How does that happen? Do you think that was a work of just you just diving in with pure faith and obedience and answering that calling that God placed in your life? And that do you feel like that healed you in some way?
Well, I give all the credit to God. Here's what happened. Had been through the process of my cancer. Just to kind of tell you, I started with it on the bottom of my foot, stage 4 melanoma. I mean, stage 2A melanoma. They
Mhm.
did a surgery. They found that it had metastasized to my groin, and so now it was stage 3A. And I went through treatment, and then I went through more surgery, and then they got the cancer. Everything looked good, but then 10 months later they found something they didn't like. And a year and a half ago, they told me, hey, it's gone from your foot to your groin to your lungs to your brain. I had a tumor in the left temporal lobe of my brain. And so they said, we're going to have to do more treatment and radiation. And so they did that. But then the treatment actually was killing me faster than the cancer was. I ended up in the hospital. Through this whole process, it shut down organs in my body. I became a type 1 diabetic. I shut down my thyroid, my adrenal glands. It's I have virtually no hearing. That's why I wear these now, because I need to have it as loud as I can. I've had eyesight issues. Lots of things have happened through the treatment. So my doctor said, whoa, we're going to stop treatment and just hope that it keeps healing, because it was going in the right direction. And I said, no, I'm not hoping. I'm trusting in God that he's going to heal it. And so 10 months without any cancer treatment. And that's when those scans happened at the end after I published my book. 10 months later, no sign of disease with no treatment. It was all God.
That is so amazing. And I feel like that's really the power of positivity in action. You know,
Yes.
there is something called a placebo effect, and you can dismiss it, you can choose to ignore it, you can choose to embrace it, right? But we know that it's real, and the power of the human mind to heal our bodies is real. When you couple that with faith and trust, it's exponential.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Exponential, right? And not only that, but the power that faith has in this journey is that it gives you a peace, as the Bible says, beyond understanding. I have a dear friend and someone who I consider my mentor who is currently going through stage 4 pancreatic cancer right now. And the doctors say that he may have 3 months to live, maybe less. I had lunch with him a few weeks ago and we had a really deep conversation. And of course, I'm impacted by this, right? I'm emotional. He says, I'm ready. I'm ready. I have peace, total peace. I've accepted this. And I think that's, the beauty of this, that if you have faith in this journey, power that, or you partner that with a really positive mindset, nothing can get in your way, right?
That's right. That's right. No, exactly. In fact, what you said right off the bat, two things. Number one, God has created our bodies in such a way that you're right. We have a lot of control over how our body heals. In fact, my doctors told me, my oncologist, that I actually quoted her in my book indirectly. And I said, she told me, your positive attitude and perspective will do more for you than any medication we could ever give you. And so it makes a huge difference how you heal with the perspective and mindset that you have. And also, when it comes to my faith, I accepted the same thing. When I was diagnosed with cancer, I accepted, you know what? God, if this is my time, I'm ready to go. I just had to come to that. I don't want to leave my beautiful wife, and I've got two amazing adult children and an amazing daughter-in-law and all this stuff. I don't want to leave them, but if God's ready for me, I'm ready. I'm not afraid of death. Not really don't really want to think about the process, but because that's not always wonderful. But really, I am ready. So I think that is a good place to be as far as having that peace of God, because you really need that through. It's a lot. It's a lot when you're going through those things.
I can only imagine. So you wrote several books now, several anthologies, and you have a successful business. You have this podcast. I really admire your friend who challenged you to start all of this. He sounds like a person after my own heart. I'm always
Yeah.
on my friends and clients. Oh, you got to start this. You got to write this. You got to do this, right? And they're probably looking at me like, one more thing. But we know how powerful it is. And
Yeah.
you and I are both really passionate about podcasting and authorship as well, and speaking on stage. So we share a lot of the same interests and passions. Why why is this so important to you? And what is the one thing that out of doing this, out of starting this, that you wish you could tell somebody who's wondering if they should start?
Well, with everything I do and what I encourage people to do, I want people to make an impact and just impact the world for positive. Um, and it's just a matter of getting started and moving forward. But the truth of all this is, I really felt like through the process, especially through the cancer, for me, God wanted me to share and bring people into my story so that I could encourage and inspire them through what I was going through. So I could show them it was possible to keep a positive mindset and perspective even through some horrible circumstances. And so if someone was asking me what they should do depending on their circumstances, I would say to them, first of all, listen to God, what you should do, but you should get started and do all that you can to positively impact the people around you, because that's really your legacy, what you leave behind. How are you leaving people? Are you leaving them better or are you leaving them worse? And I think we all would like to leave people better when we are not on this earth. And so that is really what I encourage people, just, get started and make a positive impact in your world.
I love that. Yesterday was Groundhog Day, right? And I don't know if you like that movie, Groundhog Day with Bill Murray from the 90s. I love it. It's one of my favorites. Do you like that movie?
It's funny.
And, it took him a while to realize that he was living the same day over and over again. At first, it was just weird, and this is a strange coincidence, and what is happening? And then he realized he was living the same day over and over again. And he started out like super self destructive, right? He would do all of these negative things. He was smoking, he was drinking, he was doing bad things to people, right? Bad things to himself, his own body. And then he started to realize, well, you know what? I can actually have a positive impact. Since I know what's going to happen, I'm going to actually be a force of positive change. And then towards the end of the movie, he becomes the most popular guy in town, right? He's fixing old ladies' cars. He helped somebody who was choking. He helped this couple reconnect and get married. He helped somebody else. He helped this other person. He's like the most popular person in town, right? And I think there's so many good morals in that movie, like so many great takeaways. And the powerful thing of it is that we never know what tomorrow brings for any of us. But what I do know is that it's not guaranteed. It's not promised. But we have a choice in this moment right now to be that force of destruction or that force of positivity, not only for the people around us, but also for ourselves. And I really do think it starts here. It starts with ourselves, how we talk to ourselves,
Oh,
how we
yeah.
treat ourselves, right? The language we use, the words we use when we refer to ourselves.
Yep.
And that, can really impact as well how we treat other people. What do you think about that?
No, I 100% agree. Again, we're on the same, we think so much alike. In my book, I talk about positive self-talk. I'm a huge fan of positive self-talk.
Yeah.
Talking to yourself positively and absolutely the words you use and the way you talk to yourself is so important because if you start off by tearing yourself down and being negative right off the bat, then boy, you're already starting off way behind, right? You're going the wrong direction. The other thing is too, our voice when we wake up in the morning, all of us, we have anxiety and voices, the day ahead. All this stuff is already happening. And so we need to learn to replace that by intentionally speaking positive to ourselves. I do something every morning. Three things. First thing I get up and I say, I'm thankful. I'm just so thankful and grateful for a new day, for my beautiful wife, for God, and for all that I have in my family. And then number two, I give myself a little pep talk. I've got this. I've got the talents and abilities to do what I need to do today, so I'm not going to stress about it. Number three, I just decide today's going to be awesome. Today's going to be awesome. And people, when they find out that I wake up at 4 a.m., they say, yeah, no way I'm saying today's going to be awesome at 4 a.m. And I say, you know what? I tell people that not because I think you should do what I do. I tell people that so you can take that as an example of what I do and then think about what works for you because we all need to start our day on a positive note. We all need to start moving in the right direction and feed ourselves that positive input, right? So we get moving in the right direction.
Yes, Brian Tracy, I believe it was Brian Tracy, he once said that he calls it 4 a.m. courage, right?
Yes, I love Brian Tracy.
Yes, and I think that's really powerful. Success is built in the dark. It's not built when people are clapping for you. It's not built when the stage light is on you. It's not built when you become a best-selling author or your podcast reaches the globe or TEDx talk or whatever it is you're doing. Success happens in the dark, in silent moments, in those small choices. A choice of waking up at 4 before the sunrise and nobody's watching. Nobody's clapping for you, are they, Russ, right? It's a choice of eating healthy when you could not, right? Everything is a compounded choice. And it's so important because the more of these choices we make in the dark when nobody's watching, that compounds over time. And eventually people ask you, oh, it must be nice. How'd you get so lucky? Right? How'd you get so lucky, Russ? And you say, it's not luck. It's anything but,
Uh,
right?
Well, and it's also how you look at things because I had my primary care doctor who is a good friend and I like him so much, but he had a different perspective. He looked at everything that was happening to me and then it compounds. I have cancer treatment, then I get diabetes, then I have cancer treatment, then it shuts down my adrenal glands, then I have cancer treatment and my ears stop working. And he goes, "You are the most unlucky guy I know, but how are you so positive?" And I said, "Well, it's because I'm not the most unlucky guy. I am so lucky and blessed." And he just smiled. I'm just thankful and blessed every day for all the good things because yes, we all have bad things that happen to us. But if we were to stack them up, the good things go way, way, way higher than the bad things. It's just people focus on those bad things and make them bigger than they are. So it's all what you focus on.
Absolutely. The air that we breathe is something to be grateful for. And
Amen.
that is a lesson that I have learned deeply. I won't get into it right now, but I had a dream about this and it was a profound dream. And the next day I prayed about it and asked, I said, what is the lesson here? What is the lesson of this dream? It was one of those dreams where it felt realer than real.
Uh-huh.
And the lesson was there is no touching the bottom of gratitude. You can touch the bottom of the ocean. It's deeper than that. When you can have gratefulness for the very air that you breathe, for the blood that's flowing through your veins, for the heart that's beating in your chest, Just the mere fact that you're alive, there is no bottom of gratitude. And every time you practice gratitude, practice thankfulness, practice positivity, you learn it on a deeper level. And in a way, it's setting you free little by little, right?
Yeah,
And this is the power of it. And this is why gratitude is the first step in grasp. GRASP, gratitude. G is for gratitude, right? It's the first pillar that I teach when I coach people. If you don't have gratitude, what else matters? You won't be able to appreciate anything in life. Even if the things that you think you want come to you, if you don't have gratitude, you won't be able to fully receive them.
yeah,
So have gratitude. And I think your message is that is the message, right? It's
yeah.
about having gratitude for all of the things. What do you think about that?
Well, I choose every day to be grateful, like I said, and, I am so blessed. I'm blessed to have a God who loves me and cares for me and is with me through it all. I'm so blessed to have a beautiful wife who is with me every day and, goes through the ups and downs with me and celebrates with me when things are good. I'm blessed to have a wonderful family, a daughter, my 35-year-old daughter and 32-year-old son, who were just little teeny uh, the other day. I don't know what happened. They grew up so fast, and a wonderful daughter-in-law. My son is married, and so I'm just so thankful for all of those things. And there's so much more. I mean, it goes on, and I have so many amazing friends. What an amazing community that I have worldwide. Worldwide, I have this amazing, amazing community, and so just every day, there's so much to be grateful for. And you're right. When you are grateful and appreciate what you do have, it grows, and all the things that are bad don't seem so bad after all.
There's so many lessons there. Russ, thank you so much for imparting your wisdom with the audience today and with me. I'm grateful for you, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for everyone who tuned into this episode of Grasp Confidence Podcast. Guys, my one lesson that I want to leave everyone today is a challenge right now to write down 10 things in your life. And if you can't think of 10, write down 3 and start there. But try to figure out 10, because I know everybody has 10 of things that you are grateful for right now. It's so simple, such a simple exercise, and it'll change your life. I want you to write it down with pen to paper. I want you to read it silently, and then I want you to say it out loud. Because the more you acknowledge what is already going for you, that's going for you well in your life, that you can be grateful for, the more gratitude and beauty and positivity will continue to flow into your life like a channel. Guys, we will catch you on the next episode. Thank you. Take care.